just to follow up, what happens when you hit the limit? So that might be a little bit more in the weeds than probably familiar with. And then from, I guess they're from the emissary side, Jade and Alan chime back in. Yes, hello from emissary. Oh my, sounds like I need to find out about these conversations. Yes, sounds like it for sure.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll be in touch.
There you go. So moving on. So then your kind of role as channel chief. I mean, HP's probably been forever the premier trusted company. From my days, HPE, channel partners say, hey, we can trust, we can rely. They're not going to take deals direct. There's going to be discipline. We're going to have a strong margin profile, which really works out well.
Yeah.
Any other kind of highlights that you'd bring relative to channel at HP?
Well, I mean, partners are our strategy. I mean, when you compare how we stand up against some of our direct competitors, we have a smaller sales force, and we do that deliberately because we spend a lot of money on our partners. So it's us and our partners versus a direct competitor. And we consider the money that we invest in our partners to be an extension of our sales team. So it's a deliberate strategy on our behalf, and one that's based on the principle that our partners, in many instances, have the most intimate relationships with their customers: proximity, locality, knowledge, relationships, and it's at scale. So rather than trying to build that ourselves with our own sales team, we choose to go to market through partners. Which is, I think, it's a more nuanced go-to-market, and it's one you have to be careful with, be very thoughtful with. I mean, Terry's on the chat, so as you say, we take our learnings from Terry. But it's you have to earn your trust, and it's easy to destroy it. But it's been very successful for us in the past, and now really the priority is how do we, with our partners, evolve what we sell and how we sell, and move to this essentially ARR and cloud services model. That's the drive, and partners like AdviseX and others are proving that's really beneficial because they're changing their valuations.
Yeah, that's great. I was always amazed. I'm sure you know Alfredo, right? Runs Latin America.
Yeah, saw him this week. That's who I saw in the elevator.
Oh, okay.
That he used to work for you, Alfredo. Yes.
But it's just amazing, his model, and kind of just you have all these, United States is tough, but Latin America, all these different countries, all different languages. I mean, the way he has that machine rigged on the channel side is just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, he is a master. When we look at essentially new portfolio adoption on behalf of partners, Latin America nearly always is at the front of the pack. And he's got a really small team of people, but he's got a really vibrant, healthy, and growing business. So, yeah, we had a sales leadership meeting this week with my boss, and Alfredo runs not only Latin America, he also runs Southern Europe as well. So, he's kind of got compare and contrast between the two regions, but he's a past master when it comes to partner enablement, sales enablement. Yeah. He generally is at the front of the pack.
Yeah, amazing. It's done so great for so long.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Ryan, sort of off topic. Curious to hear both your thoughts, given the economic turbulence since COVID-19 and more recently the downturn in the tech sector. How do you see tech changing in the next 1 to 2 years in tech sales? I'll take a stab at it first. So I think a lot of companies that do layoffs just don't have proper performance management. So I think it's kind of a convenient way to do that. So that's kind of one perspective maybe on the downturn. And then I think tech changing, we haven't talked about it yet, but I think it's all around kind of what's the value that you're providing. And you could have two companies selling the same thing, one that does value selling well, meaning if you bump into the elevator with the CFO who's a customer you're trying to sell to, one company's probably going to talk about speeds and feeds and stuff a CFO doesn't care about. Another company will talk about, here's how we're going to help you generate revenue. Here's how we're going to help you save money. That company will get the deal. So on the one hand, there might be something of a downturn, but I think those companies that are strong on the go-to-market side and evolving will do really well. And I think tech sales has a very, very bright future. What are your thoughts, Paul?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the news is coming with some of the tech layoffs, but I think part of the story that's also missing is the tech hiring. I mean, the tech hiring in the past 2 years has far outweighed the layoffs. So, I mean, there's a shortage of talent, not an excess of it. So it's very much a buyer's market in terms of, or a seller's market in terms of, if you're talented, there's a lot of demand for your skills. So I think that will just continue. I don't see any slowdown in that. And then to your point, well, what does the outlook look like? It looks pretty good. I mean, yeah, that we've got a bit more economic uncertainty, and I think we see that in our customers. Our customers are therefore prioritizing spend, but the investments that get made in technology and technology services have continued to grow. It's the lifeblood of every company, and so it's a great market to be in.
Absolutely. So Ryan, thanks for that. So any others, feel free to chime in with any other questions as well. So obviously you got a big job, a lot going on. So maybe kind of, I don't know if you can explain briefly kind of what do you actually do?
That's a good question. I was with a customer last week, and he actually, we were walking along, and he said, "What do you actually do?" I was like, "That's a good question." So I lead North America sales, and we kind of split it up into. I've got 5 leaders who own customer segments. I've got essentially the whole of the US and Canadian market split up into big customers and smaller customers and public sector business, and then. I've got 3 leaders who own parts of our portfolio. So that's storage and data, AI, and cloud. And then a leader for the partner business, a guy by the name of Phil Soper, and someone who helps with strategy and planning for how do we make sure that we put our salespeople in the right places to capture the opportunity that we think is ahead of us. So I own the number for the 25% of the company. And it's my job to, along with those of everyone in the team, to grow the business in both dimensions, both in terms of revenue and orders and margin.
Are you allowed to say kind of revenue? Any revenue numbers? Obviously, well, probably previous. Not
it gets reported, so it gets reported externally. So we're a rough order of magnitude. We're an $8 billion business in North America, and we've been growing for the last 2 years. And it's been a very healthy business. So it's sort of more or less in line with the company. The company has performed pretty well over the last 2 years as well. So we've been expanding margins and producing more cash and growing, and that's our commitment to our shareholders for next year as well. Awesome.
And I think another pillar, we used to talk about the channel partners, but probably tied for first or a close second is the pre-sales resources. A lot of companies call them SEs. HP, I still say we call them solution architects. But yeah, I was always amazed. You have a lot of times you have sales, sales reps, sales managers can change accounts and territories and all that. But the longevity of the solution architects that have been calling on the same accounts, that really have those trusted relationships, that really are trusted, oftentimes even more so than the sales teams are. I mean, that Scott Wood had done that for a long time. Now he's doing it kind of, I think, Green Lake. But I mean, that's just such a core pillar for the company, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. So roughly 50% of our team are technical experts. You call them solution architects. We call them solution architects as well. And again, they come in kind of 2 dimensions. One is the ones that know and have strong relationships with a customer or an industry, and they know everything about that customer. They know what the application landscape looks like. They generally have got sponsors within the teams that give them a lot of information as to what the future looks like. And then the other dimension is we've got areas of our portfolio where we need expertise, increasingly workloads as it relates to cloud or data or AI. Those are the areas now that we are essentially hiring. We're hiring SAs in those areas because our customers want to talk to us about machine learning. They don't want to talk to us as much about what's the underlying memory architecture, although some of them do want to do that.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, totally. So our title topic today is reconfiguring and evolving sales teams. So that probably also plays into kind of, some of your challenges. So I would imagine kind of as you evolve the sales teams, kind of the first domino that kind of falls is kind of how your portfolio is shifting, because you have to figure out what you're selling before you figure out how you're going to sell it. So maybe talk a little bit about that portfolio shift and obviously GreenLake and as a service offerings.
Yeah. So we are essentially moving from a company that was infrastructure and hardware led with services attached to that hardware. And now we are a cloud company that sells services that pull through hardware in some instances, not all now. And that's a pretty significant change. And obviously the balance of those two businesses changes over time. And the cloud services business, I mean, the public data now, as we had $2.5 billion of orders in 2022, was pretty much a doubling of the business year on year, and the same is true in North America. But whilst you've got $2.5 billion of cloud orders, you still need to deliver the results for the compute, storage, networking, and attached services business. So it's evolving the mix of cloud service and what we would sort of think as more traditional CapEx sales.
So then based on that, then kind of which is shift you have to make in terms of the go-to-market and sales teams?
Yeah, so we're getting, I mean, once you get into cloud, I mean, there's a sort of infrastructure as a service, which is pretty straightforward, providing compute and storage and as a service and letting customers consume it as they want to. That's pretty straightforward. But you soon get into workloads. Those workloads tend to be more specialist, and they're the people that are making decisions on where to put a workload and what that looks like tend to be line of business people. We've got a pretty sort of evolving AI proposition, which we've been bolstering with software acquisitions, and it's based on helping customers deploy machine learning models. The buyers for machine learning model deployments are not infrastructure leaders, they are data science officers. So we have to be able to speak to data science officers, and that's a very different proposition to speaking to someone that runs applications or infrastructure.
Yeah, and some of those that are the new lead, I guess if you got kind of line of business folks that are different from the traditional CIO or CTO, are you then kind of evolving your hiring profile that if you have folks that happen to have those level of relationships as opposed to the IT ones that you might have wanted 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, that's it. Well said. There's a couple of dimensions to which we need more expertise. One is you still need technology expertise, and actually the requirement for that is increasing, not decreasing. The level of expertise is expected of our salespeople. The bar is getting raised higher and higher because all of our customers now have an opinion about technology. It's not just the IT department. The line of business, in some instances, more informed than the IT function. So the sellers have to be more capable in terms of their technical knowledge, but we also need people that can talk about machine learning models and artificial intelligence, and it is very easy to get out of your depth very quickly. And so we're finding that we're hiring people that have grown up at college, know how to program a neural network, understand what deep learning is and the difference between that and machine learning, et cetera, et cetera. And so we are hiring people both from college and with some experience that have a much more intimate in their understanding of data and how to use it and the insights that can be gained and how it's scaled.
That's great. So if I'm graduating college and I just heard you say, hey, you have some openings, kind of what type of openings do you have and how can I find out about those?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you for that. I mean, we
Yeah.
are hiring we call them early career hires, essentially people that are out of college or have had a few years experience, and we're hiring them all the time now. So we have a new HQ based out of Houston. You're probably aware that we moved our headquarters from Palo Alto to Houston.
Yeah.
So we have a brand new campus there. And we do all of our early career hiring in Houston. It doesn't mean that's where you end up being for the rest of your life, but it's where you start your career in HPE. And we will take people from a mixture of backgrounds. They don't have to be college hires. We also take people that are coming out of the armed services. We take people and consider them for apprenticeships. So we're looking for people with a fabulous attitude. And to my experience, that's probably the most important attribute, is the attitude. We can teach how to sell. We can teach how technology works. We can do all of that, but people have got the great attitude. They want to learn. They want to be successful. They want to apply themselves. Then we're a good fit for them.
Great. And then what about as opposed to early in career, maybe middle or later in career, kind of some more experienced season roles? What type of openings do you have there?
Yeah, so we're hiring particularly in the data and storage side. So one of the sales leaders, Adnan Bhutta, leads our data and storage team, and we're actively hiring. It's an area that we're investing in. We see good growth, but we're also hiring in the AI and data science area as well. As I said, we made several software acquisitions, so we have a proposition to customers that helps them to deploy machine learning models using open source tools and our services, and that's really starting to gain traction, and we need new people for that. And then we just continue to look to hire talent as well. I think that's something that all great sales teams are continuously on the lookout for. How do you bring in people that raise the bar for the people that are there and set some different expectations? So we're all encouraged and to nurture talent, external talent and internal talent. And I'd probably say the balance is that we tend to promote from within 4 out of 5 times, and then the remaining 20% we look to hire externally.